Hello and welcome back to another video. So this is my August wrap-up video. So basically, this is the video where I wrap up all the books that I read in August. So I read 10 books in August, about 3,581 pages. I have this written down in my reading journal, so I know that. And I think only one 5-star this month. I've realized this because there will be a video at the end of the year where I talk about every 5-star read from the year and all my favorite books from each month of the year, which are different from all my 5 stars. You will find out why in that video. So we're going to start off, obviously, with the first book I read this month in this. I'll link the video down below. I'm pretty sure it was my cousin's Pick What I Read for a week. Or my cousins and my little brother pick what I read. I'm pretty sure that's the video. And the first book actually in that video was The Last Battle, but I finished that last month. So the first book I read this month was Wings of Starlight by Allison Saft. This book got 4 stars. This is basically a prequel to the Tinkerbell movie, Secret of the Wings. So this follows Queen Clarion before she's queen, as she gets closer to taking the throne. Something happens where Pixie Hollow is under attack, and she needs to team up with Mallory, who you meet in Secret of the Wings, and he is the Warden of the North, where basically they team up and have to try and save Pixie Hollow and the Winterlands, and fall in love in the process. It was so cute. It literally just fed to my childlike heart. Not my child, like, that's just my childhood, where when I watched Secret of the Wings, the movie that this is a prequel for, when I was a kid, I always loved their relationship because you get hints that something happened between them, but it's never really discussed in any of the later on books, or not books, movies. So I'm very happy that someone understood that curiosity that I'm sure many of us had, to write a book about it. 5 stars. Genuinely enjoyed this book. It basically was a pages wrapped in nostalgia for me, and getting to read a book in set in Pixie Hollow, and yeah, it was really good. I do recommend this if you are a Disney fairy fan, or if you're like me and have a huge curiosity into what the storyline was for Mallory and Clarion. We got it. It was great. Next, I read Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I read this on my Kindle, but I just got my physical copy of it because it's just easier. And this I gave 3 stars the first time I read it, and it's still a 3-star book. Reason behind it being is that, 1, it is the longest Harry Potter book at 800, depending on your edition of it, it can range from 800 and something to almost 1,000 pages. It's a big one. And I read it on my Kindle because on Kindle, they're on Kindle Unlimited. All 7 Harry Potter books are on Kindle Unlimited. On Kindle, it's actually only 400 and something pages, so I didn't have to read this. I read this story in half the amount of pages my printed copy is. So, plus. 10 out of 10 recommend Kindle Unlimited. It is amazing. Not sponsored, by the way. I'm just saying I love Kindle Unlimited. And I have a whole video of me talking about this book on my Harry Potter Talk series, so if you want to go check that out. It's a full spoiler. I also have the video where I talked about this while I was reading it. I didn't say as much because I have a dedicated video to that in that series, so if you want to hear my more in-depth thoughts about this book and its plotline and its the movie differentiations and similarities and whatnot, I'd go check that out. But yeah, I gave it 3 stars. This isn't my favorite Harry Potter book, but it's still a good one. The reread of it, it's still annoying me. This whole book kind of just bugs me. And I talked about that in the Harry Potter Talk video, so I'll link that one down below for this book if you want my more in-depth thoughts on that. But yeah, I ranted in that video, so be warned. If you don't want to hear me ranting, I should still watch it because it's still a good video. And then next, I did my part 1 of my Reading My Most Anticipated Reads series, and I got 2 books, so I picked picked 2 books out of a, you can go watch the video. I picked 2 books out of a container thing, and those were the 2 books I read. And I read these actually on vacation, so I cruised through them on vacation. So the first book I read was Grumpy Darling by Alexandra Moody. This book got 4.5 stars, which I think is 5.5 more stars than the first book got, because this is a friends to lovers trope romance, and it is a clean hockey romance. This whole series is clean hockey romance. This is the 2nd book in the series. The 3rd book in the series will hopefully be coming out soon. I don't think there's a confirmed release date for that one. This one just came out this year in April, I think, or early June. I can't exactly remember. But my favorite part about this book was that we got to see Reed and, why am I spacing out on her name? I always space out on her name for some, Violet. Reed and Violet from this one, because Reed is Grayson's twin brother. So this follows the Darling family. So we have the twin brothers, Reed and Grayson, and then we have, why am I spacing out on names? I literally read this like this month. I should remember it. What was his little brother's name? Okay, Cammie's their sister, but I cannot remember who their brother's name was. The other brother. Parker. Okay, so I think this series is gonna follow. Probably the 3rd one's most likely gonna be Parker, and then maybe there might be a 5th one, and they do it about Cammie, their sister. That would be really cool. I'd love that, because she's a character. So we'll just put that back up there. So the reason why I think this one got 0.5 more stars, like half a star more than the first one, is because the first one's fake dating. So I feel like she's like hitting every trope. So we have fake dating in the first one, which the reason why that one didn't get even like the same rating as this one is because of the miscommunication that was in that book. It's so annoying. I hated that miscommunication because it wasn't necessary. Because the miscommunication, I will rant about this because it ticked me off when I read it. I was like, if Violet was smart enough, she would not have listened to the miscommunication wouldn't have happened if she would have thought before she just believed somebody. Let me say that. And then this one's friends to lovers. And actually, the funny thing is that Grayson has always had a crush on his best friend, Paige. Paige has always seen him as a friend. So he's kind of always been stuck in the friend zone until he has to help her have her first kiss. Not that he's going to be her first kiss, but help her kiss someone for the first time. It's really weird. He feels awkward about it. She feels awkward about it. There's a whole cascade of avalanche of things that cause them to team up for that. Just saying. It's not like she just goes up to them and says, hey, can you let me kiss somebody? No, there's an avalanche of events that lead to to them having to team up on this. There was no miscommunication in this trope. And it was in this book. That's why it got a half a star better, because there was no miscommunication. I liked it. It was great. Now, on to the second book that I read in the most anticipated reads video, but also I finished it in my reading for 12 hours video, the most recent one. So, it's Fearless, and I did not film my reaction to a scene in this, but it's the reason why I got 5 stars. I was crying my eyes out, okay? I literally was like, I don't want to spoil, obviously, what made me, like, react so viscerally to a scene, and I was like, Lauren Roberts, why did you have to do this to me? And then we have the Fearful novella coming out soon, which is basically Kit's POV during this book, and I cannot wait to hear what he has to say for himself, and for what she has to say for herself. Lauren Roberts there. 5 stars. Every single book in this series has been 5 stars. It's so good. This one truly felt like a good completion to the story. Obviously, it's like the last book. We're getting a novella next, so it's the last main book in this series. It was good. There were moments where I was giggling and kicking my feet. There were moments where I was crying my little heart out and wanting to chuck the book across the room, but I don't like damaging my books, so I didn't chuck it across the room. But I did. This is what happened. So I had let's pretend it wasn't this chapter. But I had my book opened, I was reading it, like, leaning back on my bed, like, chilling on my bed, and then something happened where I did this, like, I dropped the book onto my bed and sat up and read it like this. Like, it's sitting on my bed, my hand, and I'm flipping through the pages as I'm reading it, and I'm reading, like, very intently, and just in shock for some parts. So, this book made me feel every emotion, and it was so great. This is why it was a 5-star read. I still haven't stopped thinking about it, and also I still haven't stopped getting a bunch of stuff on my feed about it. Now that I've finished it, I can now look at all the spoilers and everybody's reactions and fellow booktuber reviews of it, and oh, it's so good. Okay, there's that. So then we have the rest of my I read for 12 hours video, where after I finished Fearless, I wanted something short and sweet to kind of, you know, after the after the emotional roller coaster, that's what I meant to say, that Fearless was, I read It's Not Summer Without You by Jenny Han, the second book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series. This got 3 stars. It was good. I do not like Belly. I genuinely don't like her character. And that's saying something, because for the other series that Jenny Han wrote, To All the Boys I Loved Before, I love Laura Jean. Like, her character is great. I love Laura Jean. For some reason, Belly just, she annoys me. She causes issues. She causes problems. Okay? And then we got Jeremiah's POV randomly in this book. At not random moments, I'm sure they were strategically placed in there as a writer would. But as I was reading them, I'm just like, Belly, I know what you're thinking. This series is a love triangle series. I think I talked about this in the video, or really anytime I've talked about love triangles, is that I'm picky about my love triangles. They have to be written well. Let's say there's a love triangle in the Fearless trilogy. There's a love triangle in it. I'm going to be completely blatantly honest with you. There's a love triangle in that trilogy. That love triangle, the ending of it was insane. That love triangle didn't really feel like a love triangle, but it was a love triangle nonetheless. That's kind of what made it a good thing. It was like the ending of that love triangle was crazy. Read the books. You'll understand what I'm talking about. But this love triangle, because I know it is one, it's the love triangle where it's like one girl and 2 brothers, okay? Which, I have read this before. I've read in the Inheritance games. Powerless. Just Powerless is around here somewhere. Where, what's up here? You can't see it. Powerless. Okay? Spoiler. That's not really a spoiler. That book's been out for a lot longer than the new one has. The Inheritance games did that. You'd think, oh, that's a weird love triangle. This makes it so weird. The reason why I get weirded out by this brother and a girl love triangle is because Belly's known these guys since she was born. They've grown up in a familial family setting. Like, they've known each other since forever. Which you're like, oh yeah, but so why is she playing both boys? Why she's been madly in love with Conrad since, like, the first book. That was very evident, which obviously makes me know that he's the endgame. Jeremiah doesn't stand a chance. But, like, why? Why ping-pong yourself between both of them? When you know that if you do this, you're going to cause a whole lot more issues than, like, let's say Inheritance games, for example, that love triangle. It is between 2 brothers, but Avery just met them. Avery hasn't known them their entire lives. Avery wasn't a part of their lives until just recently. And to be honest, again, it is like it's very obvious which boy she is picking. With that being said, as those books went on, like the second book, the first book was like, whoa, who is she gonna pick? They both seem perfect for her. Who's she gonna pick? Second book, okay, I can see that Avery's liking this one more. This one feels more like a brother-sister relationship. And then by the third one, you're like, okay, yeah, you picked this one. I'm not getting that in these. That's how a love triangle should work. The first book, I should be like, I don't know which one you're going to pick because they're both perfect. They're both great for you. Jeremiah had no chance in the first one, and he has even less chance in this one. I'm like, why is this love triangle so confusing? Because it shouldn't exist. If she would have thought before she just decided to be like, I can't have Conrad, I'll take Jeremiah then. He's the second best anyways. That's what this feels like. That's what this feels like. And I am very nervous for the third book because I know that there's like a 4-year time skip or time jump or however many year time jump that is. And I don't know how I'm going to feel about that one. So yeah, this one got 3 stars. Because I don't like Billy. If she would just not have gone for Jeremiah, then we would be fine. Okay? We would be fine. Ish. I still don't like her that much. And then the next book I read was, or reread, this was a reread, Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I annotated it. So. Right? Hold up. Yes. Yes, I did. I was like, what? I see the tabs, but I couldn't see any of, like, my writing. It's like, what? Yeah, so this got, I didn't change the rating from the first time I read it. It's 4 stars. It's not my favorite Stephanie Garber book. My favorite Stephanie Garber book is The Ballad of Never After, so far. I don't know if The Curse for True Love will change that, but I think Ballad of Never After is definitely my favorite. Yeah, this was a reread, so I wanted to annotate it since I've been doing that lately. You'll see that in a pattern with 2 other books that I have on my read recently. But yeah, this one was a good reread. It was kind of nice to dive back into like Caraval and like the circus-esque world that we were introduced to in this book that kind of, I'm gonna be honest, kind of got lost in the latter 2 books. The latter 2 books very focused more on the fates and on the kingdom they were in, and it didn't really feel like the same series for some reason. This one, I think that's probably why this is my favorite one out of that trilogy. It's just because this one feels so standoffish from the other 2. Like, it's kind of its own thing, and also I love Scarlett and Julian, so that also plays into it. They're my favorite couple from the Caraval trilogy. Now, will they live up to Evangeline and Jax? I don't know. So far, those 2 are getting up there, but these are definitely one of my favorite book couples. And then, again, in the same Reading for 12 Hours video, I read The Secret at Pheasant's Cottage by Patricia St. John. This got 3.5 stars. Another reread. It was short because I only had like an hour left on my to read, so I just read this. It's a good Christian book about a girl, Lucy, who lives with her grandparents in the countryside, and she finds out that her dad's in jail, which is why she lives with her grandparents, because her mom died and her dad's in jail. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that ensues after that. So there's that one. And then my most recent video that I just posted, actually, is I was finishing my reread of the original Hunger Games trilogy. So in that video, I read Catching Fire. I gave this 4 stars. The rating didn't change. It's always been a 4-star. Actually, I think this book was, nope, definitely still 4 stars. Definitely still 4 stars. I also annotated it, as that is what I've been doing with my Hunger Games books recently. I've been annotating the original trilogy, at least. This used to be my favorite Hunger Games book, but I think Sunrise on the Reaping trumped it a little bit. No offense to Catching Fire, I do still love it. It's my second favorite now. Sunrise on the Reaping definitely took #1 spot. But yeah, if you don't know what the Hunger Games are about, there's movies if you want to go watch them. They're not perfect, but they're not bad either. Yeah, I gave this book 4 stars, and I stand by that rating. I enjoyed rereading this, and yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of opinions on this one because it's a reread. I feel like people kind of know, and if you want to know some more thoughts about it, I'm positive I talked about it in the video, so again, I'll link all these videos down below. And then I picked up Mockingjay, annotated it as well. And this one actually is 3 stars. This is sadly still my least favorite Hunger Games book, But I said this in the video, I think, going back and rereading it, knowing what happens in the book, because this is, I think, the first time I've reread Mockingjay, and going back and rereading it and being like, okay, I know what happens, I know what all the stuff that would be, like, making me emotional and whatever happens. So actually going back and reading it, this time I noticed a lot more detail, which is what happens when you reread books. Like, I was no longer, like, focusing on just, like, the overall plot, but I focused on, like, small key details, especially after reading Sunrise on the Reaping and Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I really enjoyed reading this one with all of its, like, Easter eggs and kind of really interesting conversations and topics that were brought up, and just Katniss's growth and evolution throughout this book, I feel like was a lot more than we saw in Catching Fire. So, 3 stars. Still, I don't know why I like Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes better than Mockingjay. I just found that one a little bit more, like, intriguing to read, because it is written, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is up there, is written in the perspective of the villain, of President Snow, when he was younger during the 10th annual Hunger Games. So it's kind of interesting to read from a villain's perspective. I don't get that a lot. We don't read a lot of villain perspectives, so we don't get that a lot. So that was interesting to me. I think that's probably why that one was up there for me. It's why it's not my least favorite. But yeah, and then a book that the video for hasn't come out yet because I'm still working on it, my part 2 of reading my most anticipated reads, How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories. I gave this book 3.5 stars, and in my Fable review, which I will read for you because I think I articulated it quite well in that review, if I can find my review for it. Can I, like, look, like, I have a review. Is that not possible to find my review for this book? One second, I need to, there we go. So this is what I said. This book felt, because I wrote it in past tense because I wrote it, like extra material in a good way, like bonus material in a good way. This is a great companion book to the Cruel Prince trilogy, but you don't have to read this book if you don't want to. You do not have to read this book to understand the Cruel Prince trilogy. Due to the fact that this book came out after the Cruel Prince trilogy, you don't necessarily need to read this. I added that on my own. Each little story explores Cardan's character in ways we didn't get to see in the OG trilogy, the original trilogy, which is right here. The stories actually flowed together nicely and made sense to read back to back. So I read all the stories in here back to back. Obviously I read it like a book. Also, this book is gorgeous. I said that in the other video. I'm going to say it again here. It is gorgeous. And yeah, the stories very flowed nicely, and there was kind of like, it was like the first story played into the last story. It was great. And then getting Cardan's POV was a nice change, and I loved being able to dive into his story more. I missed the world of Elfheim and was really happy to dive back into it even for a short time. So that was my Fable review. So just so you know, I do write reviews on Fable, and if you want, like, they tend to be more in-depth than some of what I do here because I have more time to articulate my thoughts and, like, type it all out, and I can talk for hours on it. So yeah, this book I gave 3.5 stars. Again, it's not necessary to read along with the trilogy, but I read it because I love this world and I love Holly Black as an author, and she's very good at world building, and she really kind of expanded on Cardan's character and his childhood to his teenage years to at the end after the Queen of Nothing, and it was really interesting to see why he became what he became, why he was the way he was in the trilogy, and why he was the way he was to Jude. Because we touch on that a few times from Jude's POV of learning things about Cardan. She obviously, like, she's like, oh, that's probably why he was like this, or that's probably why he acts like this. But actually getting it from Cardan's point of view and getting a lot of interesting outlooks on his life and stories and just moments where you're like, oh, cool, I never thought I'd ever get to see this moment, because we don't see it in the book. In the original trilogy, we get to see it in this. So yeah, those are all 10 of the books that I read in the month of August. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!